My name is Niamh Pattwell and I'm the module coordinator for the seminar thought module Talking Animals. Now this is essentially a medievalist module, so it comes in under the category of those early texts that you are supposed to select. But in actual fact we cheat a little bit. We do actually explore some later 19th century and 20th century texts in the later part of the module, just to act as a point of comparison for these earlier texts. So it's essentially a module that looks at the fable and the use of animals in literature, specifically the use of speech and animals in literature. So some of the writers that we look at on this module will be Geoffrey Chaucer. We'll be looking at the hilarious Nunsbury's Tale, the less hilarious and rather grim Mansible's Tale, where he almost is left wondering what was the meaning of his life, I think, or that's the impression that we're left with. We'll be looking at the 15th century Scottish guy Henryson, who takes the traditional Aesop fable and reworks it into a contemporary medieval sort of court situation. So instead of pigs and crows and mice, we end up with wolves and lambs acting as victims or acting as lawyers in a medieval court. Some of the questions that emerge are how to negotiate the fable as an inherited form. Are we looking at reinforcing the tradition, the narrator or author writing himself into that tradition, which is often the aim of a medieval author, rather than trying to do something that is original? Or we see them trying to do a little bit of both. On the one hand, they are paying respect and homage to the author from which they have received this piece of literature, and on the other hand, they're trying to do something new and something creative. And that is as true in the medieval texts as it is with the later writers that we look at. Some of the later writers that we look at are H.G. Wells. We look at his rather grim The Island of Dr. Moreau. But we're going to finish up, I always finish up with Thurber's Fables in Our Time. They are in structure exactly like a fable. He uses the short narrative and the little pithy moral at the end, but he turns everything upside down and inside out. And at the same time, he uses very colloquial language. He makes them very much early 20th century America, looking at the issues of their time. So essentially the fable, it's about looking at an inherited form. It's about how that form has been reworked in newer periods, in later periods, to address social, political, religious issues of that period. But there's a very self-conscious mode to the writing of the fable as well. You see people trying out their skills as writer, testing it against the inherited form and trying to do something new.